Hey guys, it's Jen. Welcome back. Today we're going to be ranking all of the new drugstore products that have come out in the past month or so, and January is always a huge month for drugstore makeup. It's when all the new spring stuff launches, and it can be kind of overwhelming when you have 5 or 6 new foundations showing up and you have no idea which one to try. So of course my opinions are going to vary probably from yours because we may have different skin types, different preferences, things like that, but I thought I would just give you my overall opinion because I always get questions on, what did you think of the new Milani foundation? What did you think of these new cream blushes? So I thought it'd be fun to rank them from worst to best in each category, and that way you can at least know what I think, and hopefully that can help you guys out when you're making your decisions. So why don't we go ahead and jump right in and get started. Alright, so let's go ahead and start out with foundation, and coming in at number 5, my least favorite, is this new Ulta Beauty Effortless Effect Medium Coverage Hydrating Foundation. I showed this one in a Sunday haul, and I was very, very impressed when I put it on the back of my hand. I felt like the finish looked really skin-like, and it felt like it was going to be nice and hydrating on my skin, but all of that changed when I went to put it on my face. And just so you know, all these foundations that I try out, I always try them with a few different primers that I like, as well as applying them with a brush, my fingers, or a sponge, and with this one nothing helped it. It was really, really bad, which surprised me so much because it seemed like something I was really gonna like when I initially tested it out. I think the biggest thing I didn't like about this was it looks streaky on my skin, and I'll show you a close-up picture of what I'm talking about with it on my chin. You can actually see like these streaks of foundation where it just didn't blend in. It kind of sat on top and moved all around no matter how I tried to apply it. So that was really frustrating for me, and it didn't build upon itself really well. It had, I would say, like light to medium coverage, but a lot of times there's areas of my face that need a little bit more coverage, and this one, when I tried to add a second layer, it kind of lifted up what was underneath and just kind of moved everything around. It also clung to my dry patches like on my chin and around my nose really badly, so I would definitely say skip this one. I've seen nothing but negative reviews on it actually. When you go on the Ulta website, I think the general consensus is it's not great. And coming in at number 4 may surprise you a little bit, but it's the new Milani Screen Queen Foundation. I get a lot of comments asking me what I think of this one, and honestly, it's not that great. At least for me, I am not a fan. Originally, when I tried it on the back of my hand, it had a really skin-like finish. I thought it felt like it was going to be super hydrating, and then when I put it on my face, just like the Ulta one, it just kind of like moves around, and it's a lighter to medium coverage again. So in areas where I need a little more, I would try to put more of this on, and no matter what method I tried, whether it was a brush, a sponge, just tapping it on with my fingers, trying to stipple it on, it kind of remains a little bit sticky on the skin, a little tacky, and because of that, when you try to add a second layer, it just moves the one underneath around, and it doesn't add any additional coverage. All it does is make your face feel even more sticky. So that's really my main gripe with this foundation. Other than that, it does feel really nice and hydrating, and I felt like it does have a really skin-like finish. It didn't cling to my dry patches, but I don't want a foundation that feels sticky or tacky all day, and also one that can't build on itself, because there are areas of my face where I do want a little bit more coverage. And then right in the middle at number 3, we have the CoverGirl Clean Fresh Skin Milk. So I did talk about this one in a video already, and I did a wear test and showed close-up photos of my face when I was wearing this, and sadly, while this had really nice coverage, I felt like it clung to every dry patch on my face, like on my chin, again around my nose, on my forehead and cheek area where I'm not as dry. It looked really nice. So I'm gonna have to go revisit this one in the springtime when my skin isn't so dry, and maybe I'll like it a little bit better. I'm hoping that's the case because I did think it had really nice coverage. I was expecting it to be very light because it looks like a tinted moisturizer or something, but it actually had really good medium coverage, and I felt like, it dried down nicely. It didn't stay tacky throughout the day. It built upon itself well. So I'm definitely excited to try this one out a little bit more when my skin isn't as dry, and if you don't have major dryness issues, I think you might really like that one. Then coming in at number 2 is the Wet n Wild Photofocus Dewy Foundation. Now, I want to start this off by saying this is not a dewy foundation at all. In fact, it feels very similar to the original. It's just not quite as drying as that one. That one I couldn't wear at all, and this one I find that I can, but it was definitely drier than I thought it was going to be with a name like Dewy. Thankfully, it's not one of those dry ones that clings to any dry patches on my face. It looked very smooth. Again, it looked very skin-like. My major gripe with this one is the fragrance. Now, the old one had like a paint-like type of smell, which was really disgusting, and this one has more of a fragrance to it, like a floral perfumey kind of a scent that's pretty strong. So if you're sensitive to fragrances, you may not like this one. For me personally, it doesn't bother me that much. Once I apply it, I don't smell it anymore, but it is something to take note of. I also don't really care for the applicator, this paddle. It's not like the easiest thing to work with. I would much prefer it to be in a pump. But aside from those two issues, I do really like the way it looks on my skin, and I was surprised that it actually did look good because my skin is really dry, but somehow, even though it dries down almost matte, for some reason, it didn't make my skin look extra dry. So this one was pretty good, and I feel like going into the spring and summer then, because it dries down really well, it's probably not going to be sticky or tacky on my skin in the summer, which is something that I definitely look for. And then my number one pick is not going to surprise you guys. It's the Maybelline Dream Radiant Liquid. I'm wearing it today. Every time I wear it in a video, I get compliments on my skin that it looks glowy and healthy, and it really is just a beautiful formula for my skin type. It may not get along with everybody. I've seen some videos from people who have more oily skin who felt like it was maybe a little bit too dewy and too hydrating and that it broke up on them throughout the day, but I find I get a really long wear time out of it. It smooths over any kind of imperfections in my skin. It doesn't settle into fine lines and pores. It builds upon itself really nicely. It dries down most of the way. It kind of remains just slightly tacky on me, but not to the point where it moves when you try to add another layer, and not to the point where it feels annoying like the Milani one. That one was just a little too dewy and tacky. So this one's just a great middle ground, and I just feel like it makes my skin look really radiant and healthy and glowy, but not with shimmer or glitter or anything. Just because of the hyaluronic acid in the formula, it just kind of plumps up my skin and makes it look really moisturized. So I love this one. I think it's amazing. All right, so then moving on to mascaras, I tried 4 of them this month, and we'll start with number 4, my least favorite, and that's the Physicians Formula Rosé All Day Mascara. I did talk about this one and do a wear test in a video a while back where I talked about some new CoverGirl products and also the new Physicians Formula Rose palette, and this one smudged underneath my eyes, and it really didn't even give me as much volume and length as some other formulas do. So because it smudged so badly, I would probably not be in a hurry to use this one again. Coming in at number 3, we have the Rimmel Scandalize On Demand Volume, and this one smudged just as badly as the Physicians Formula one did, so it's really not that much higher up on the list. The only reason it's number 3 instead of number 4 is because this one gave me really nice big lashes. I love the way my lashes looked for as long as they did before it started smudging, so it gets a little bit of a better ranking, but it's still not one that I would probably reach for that much because I never know if it's going to give me raccoon eyes. Number 2 is the Maybelline Falsies Lash Lift Mascara. I'm wearing this one today and I really like it. It gives really nice length and volume. Is it as much as some other mascaras like my CoverGirl Supersizer that I love? No, but it's pretty close. It is a little bit more, I think, on the clumpy side than that one, so I still prefer the CoverGirl, but this one is long lasting. It didn't smudge or flake on me, so I thought it was a pretty good formula. And then coming in at number 1 is this one from Honest Beauty. This is the one that has the primer on one end and then the mascara on the other, and I absolutely love this so much. I don't know if the primer makes all that much difference. I've tried it with and without, and I feel like with the primer, my lashes maybe look a little bit longer or something, but honestly, when it comes to this, it's the mascara that I really love. It has a really nice skinny brush to it, which really helps you to get right up close to your lash line and coat your lashes just right from the root to the tip, and also it just gives really long lashes. I'll show you before and after really quick. I love that it doesn't clump. I love that it's not smudging underneath my eyes throughout the day. It's really long lasting. It didn't flake on me either, but I just love how it makes my lashes look. My lashes just make my eyes look so much more open. So this is one that I would definitely consider repurchasing. I really enjoyed it a lot. Next, I have 2 brow products that I tried this month. The first one is from Rimmel. It's the Brow Pro Micro 24-Hour Precision Stroke Pen. So this one is my least favorite of the 2, basically just because it's like a really skinny marker, and I like this one better. This is the one from Maybelline. It's the Brow Ultra Slim because it's more of a waxy, traditional, like micro brow pencil. So I like the waxiness of this one because it just helps the hairs to stand up a little bit better. It gives a little bit more grip. So I don't necessarily feel like I need to go in with a brow gel after I use this one. Whereas with this one, I definitely do because it doesn't give any hold. Plus, I just feel like the marker pen looks a little bit less natural than a regular pencil like this one. So I thought this one was really great. I'm definitely going to use it up until it's gone. I may consider repurchasing it down the road. I'm not sure I like it quite as much as Anastasia Brow Wiz, but it's pretty close and it's a good affordable alternative. I also tried 3 different liquid eyeliners this month. So coming in at number 3 is this one from Honest Beauty. This is the liquid eyeliner, and it actually came in a set with the mascara, but you can buy them individually. It was called the Cat Eye set, I believe. And this one, I mean, I felt like it was really nice in terms of the color. I felt like it was a really nice dark jet black color. The only thing that I don't like about it is that it's a felt tip. Now, you guys might actually love that it's a felt tip. I don't like felt tips as much as I like brush tips, and that's the only reason this one is number 3, because I did think the formula was really nice. I did think it was long lasting, but I just find felt tips a little bit harder to use. So this is really just, it comes down to personal preference at the end of the day. And then for number 2, we have the Rimmel Wonder Ink eyeliner. This one does have a brush tip, which I like, but this brush tip is really large, so I did find it slightly harder to work with than my number 1 pick. And also the brush on this one doesn't move quite as much as I like them to. I like the brush tip to be really flexible, and this one to me felt like in between a felt tip and a brush tip. So I'm actually wearing this one on my eyes today. It's about the 3rd time I've worn this one, and it is really long lasting. So that's one good thing about it. But I think it's just the ease of use thing that knocked it down to number 2. So my number 1 pick is the Maybelline Hyper Easy Brush Tip Liner. I did talk about this one in a video where I tested all the new Maybelline stuff, and I love it. I love the brush tip on it. It's really tiny and really skinny, which is great if you have hooded eyes and you don't want your eyeliner to take up a lot of your lid space. And the brush is really nice and flexible. It was super easy to use. It was really long lasting, and it actually replaces the Kat Von D tattoo liner for me. It's really, really good. So this is definitely my number 1 pick out of the 3. I also tried out 2 different lip masks in the month of January. So coming in at number 2 is the Ulta Beauty Joyful Jelly Overnight Lip Mask with macadamia oil. This one leaves my lips feeling so soft. I love how thick it is, and it really just coats your lips. It stays on all night. You can still feel it when you wake up in the morning. And I love the formula of it. The only thing that's not putting it in the number 1 spot is the texture. It basically feels like Jello. So you know, like when you scoop into Jello, you really have to like dig it out. That's the case with this one. So I can't just tap my fingers in there and put a little bit on. I have to use a Q-tip or a spatula or something to get it out. I know that's probably the more sanitary way to do it anyway, but usually at night I've just washed my hands anyway because I have to take contact lenses out, and then I wash my face. So I feel like my hands are pretty clean at night, and I don't normally feel like I want to dig out a Q-tip then and use it that way. I usually keep something right on my nightstand. I just want to be able to dig in with my finger quick and put it on. And with this, I can't do that unless I want to dig it out with like my fingernail, which that's kind of gross to me. Like I don't want it all up underneath my fingernail. So that's the one thing that's a little bit tricky with this one, but I do really, really like the formula. It also has a light kind of like strawberry scent, I think. I think it's strawberry. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Laneige lip mask as far as the scent goes. But my number 1 pick is this one from Milani. It's the Milani Rose Butter. This one is just so creamy and so hydrating. You can see hopefully like just how creamy and rich it is. It feels so amazing on your lips. It's not sticky. It just feels like buttery and rich and amazing. And it has a very subtle rose scent. It's really not overpowering at all. You can hardly smell it, but I just love the way this makes my lips feel. It also has just like the slightest hint of a pink tint to it too, so it looks really pretty on your lips as well. You could even just wear it during the day as like a really subtle lip balm. It's just beautiful. I absolutely love it. In fact, since I got this, I haven't repurchased the Laneige one that I ran out of, and now that Bite Beauty changed their agave one, I don't like it anymore. So this one has basically been my number 1 go-to. It's awesome. All right, so next let's move on to blushes. I tried 8 different blushes during the month of January, and only one of them was a powder formula, but I didn't want to leave it off on its own, so I am including it in the ranking. Even though they're totally different products, I was trying just to think of like which ones I enjoy using the most. So I ranked it basically according to that, not necessarily comparing it to the cream formulas because I know they're completely different things. So coming in at number 8 are these Maybelline Cheek Heat blushes. So these were just a disaster for me. They are so sheer. I mean, I know they're marketed as a sheer blush, but they take sheer to a whole nother level. When you put them on, you can hardly see them at all, so you really do need to layer them. Unfortunately, they don't layer well feel at all. They just basically lift up what's underneath. They lift up your foundation. They feel sticky. They feel tacky. I did not enjoy this formula at all. It just felt like it was so hard to work with. I even tried using a stippling brush, which sometimes can help a stickier formula to adhere better to your skin and amp up the color a little bit without swiping and taking the product off. It didn't even work with that. It was really just not a good experience. I felt like they were too hard to work with, so I definitely will not be reaching for these anytime soon. Next, coming in at number 7, we have the Physicians Formula Dewy Blush Elixir. I saw so many people raving about these in YouTube videos, so I felt like I was alone in not liking them. So let me know down in the comments below if you feel like I do about this, but similar to the Maybelline Cheek Heat, I just feel like these are too greasy and too sticky, and when you go to like rub them in, like I just put a little bit on the back of my hand, they just kind of like disappear, and then you have to continually add more, and they get even stickier and tackier on the skin. They do have a little bit more color than the Maybelline ones. They're not as sheer, but I just didn't like the feeling of them on my cheeks. They just felt sticky. Every time I touched my face, even when I smiled, I could kind of feel them on my skin. So I just didn't like the way they felt, even like on my hand right now. It's kind of annoying me because of that like heavy, sticky feeling. So I don't know. I feel like the only person in the world that didn't like these, but I just didn't. Then coming in at number 6, we have the Ulta Beauty World Traveler Blush and Bronzer Duo. So from here on up, these are all blushes that I liked. Nothing was terrible per se. This one I just felt like was a little bit sheerer than I was expecting it to be. It does go on pretty pigmented, but then as you start to blend it in, kind of like the others, it blends away, and it does have a slightly greasy feel to it. So I like, when I'm using a cream blush, I like something that is going to dry down a little bit more, because I find that those formulas don't lift up your foundation underneath as much. I feel like they last longer, they don't slide around on your face. And while I didn't feel like this one did that, I felt like it was easier to control than the other two, because I would just swipe it on my cheek and pat it in and it stayed fine. But again, it felt a little bit sticky, and I didn't feel like it was as long lasting as some of the other ones that I'm going to talk about. And then coming in at number 4, we have the Ulta Beauty Stay Cheeky Liquid Blush. So this one actually looks like a dupe for the Flower Beauty ones, and I have to admit it is really, really similar in terms of the formula. And the packaging on these looks very similar to the Flower Beauty ones. It's almost identical actually, but I think the thing that makes these a little different from the Flower ones is that they all contain shimmer. I think these come in 4 colors, and each one, according to the Ulta website, says that it has shimmer. Now, I didn't find like it was a ton of shimmer, or, you know, it looked like a disco ball on my cheeks or anything, and I usually try to avoid things that are too glittery on my cheeks because I have visible pores and texture, but I really didn't find this to be overly glittery. Granted, I didn't wear it out in the sun, so it may be a little bit different in that scenario. So I'm not 100% sure how I feel about these yet. I feel like it's okay. But if you usually avoid shimmer on your cheeks, I would probably just pick up one of the Flower blush bombs, because those are really awesome. And then next up we have the Physicians Formula Natural Defense Multicolor Stick. This one contains sunscreen, which is really interesting. I'm not sure that any of the other ones I've tried have sunscreen in them. And comparing it with the Ulta Beauty one, I feel like this one is much less greasy. I have it in the shade Soft Pink. It's just a really beautiful soft pink color. It's almost like a pinky nude or a pinky peach. It's so beautiful, and this one has more of that powdery dry down, so when you put it on your face, I don't feel like it's moving around too much. It doesn't lift the foundation underneath. It's a little bit more on the sheer side, but I find that it builds up really nicely because it's not super greasy. So this one is definitely one that I've been enjoying. And then coming in at number 3 are these new ones from the CoverGirl Clean Fresh line. I really enjoy these a lot, and actually I feel kind of bad that they're at number 3 because I like these almost as much as the top 2, but I just had to rank them somewhere. These are really great. I love the formula compared to like the Maybelline Cheek Heat or even the Ulta Beauty one. These just have more of like a moussey kind of a texture that's a little bit more, not, I don't want to say dry, but it dries down completely, and you only need like a tiny little dot. They're very pigmented, so you just go ahead and pop that right on your cheeks, and it doesn't blend away like the other ones. It's not super sheer. So once you blend it in, I don't find like you have to keep applying these multiple layers to get them to show up, and they dry down all the way. So once they're dry, you could actually even add a powder blush on top for extra staying power. So these are definitely awesome. Not to mention CoverGirl is cruelty free, and these blushes are vegan as well, if that's something that's important to you. And then coming in at number 2, we have these new Almay Healthy Hue blushes. So these are the only powder blush that I tried this month, but I am in love with it already. If you saw my Sunday haul a couple of days ago, these are the most blendable blushes I've tried in such a long time. They are so seamless when they go onto your cheeks. They just blend to the point where they look super natural and it looks like you're just blushing from within, which I feel like is kind of hard to do with a powder blush. They're absolutely amazing, and I definitely want to pick up more colors. And then my number one pick is from Milani. These are their Cheek Kiss liquid blushes. I bought this one originally, the Rose Romance, and I liked it so much I went back to Ulta and I got the Nude Flush. These are so gorgeous. They're very similar to the CoverGirl ones, but I don't know what it is about them that I like just slightly better, but I feel like they are very close in terms of formula. I think maybe for me, it's just these colors. The CoverGirl ones were a little bit more like, here's the nude one. It's like the perfect nude blush. There we go. I was trying to get it to focus. The CoverGirl ones came in some kind of funkier colors, like this bright coral, and then you had like this kind of pinky lavender. I mean, they're pretty, but I just feel like the Milani ones are a little bit more natural looking, like they look like what color your skin would actually turn if you were really flushing. So I think that's probably what's making me choose these as my number one pick. But again, they feel so similar. The Milani ones dry down all the way as well, so you can add a powder blush on top if you wanted to, and they don't lift up the foundation underneath when you're applying them because they have more of that light kind of moussey texture that dries down all the way. So definitely my number one pick right here. All right, so next let's move on to lip products. I tried 5 of them this month. I feel like it was more than that. I don't know, maybe I'm forgetting something, but let's start with number 5, and that would be these Colourpop Luxe Velvet liquid lipsticks. Now Colourpop did send me a kit of all the colors, which I was super grateful for, and I was really excited to try these, but unfortunately they just are way too drying for me. When I first applied them to my lips, they felt very smooth. They have a mousse-like formula, so they almost kind of seem to just smooth over my lip lines, and they looked really good. So I'll show you a picture of one of the colors that I was wearing. I'm trying to remember what color this was now. I think it was Air Kiss, if I'm not mistaken. It came out a little darker than it looked in the tube, but it looked beautiful when I first applied it. But then I went and had a little snack. I really only had a couple of sips of a drink and a couple of chips, and by the time I was done, it just looked so patchy and it was wearing away very unevenly. Not to mention that when I wore some of the lighter colors where that wasn't as noticeable as it was wearing away, I just felt like that comfortable feeling at first started to get more uncomfortable like as time went on. With probably within like a half an hour, it started to feel like my lips were getting like tighter and tighter, almost like they felt like they were shriveling up. It was a really uncomfortable feeling. So I wasn't expecting that because they felt so good when I first applied them. So I just really didn't have a great experience with these at all. Another lip product I was not a fan of because they were so dry are these matte lip crayons from L'Oreal. So when I bought these, I was hoping that they were going to be maybe like a better version of those Maybelline ones that came out over the summer. I loved those. I thought they were so super creamy, but they wore away very unevenly and patchy on me. So that was something that kept me from really enjoying those, and I didn't want to wear them out anywhere because I was afraid that they were going to look crazy on me after a couple of hours. So I thought these might be a little bit better, but sadly these are so dry. They're so waxy. When you put them on your lips, they make your lips look dry almost instantly. So I don't see myself wearing these anytime soon. And then coming in at number 3, we have these new Maybelline Lip Sensational, the creams. And you guys were raving about these, so I decided to try them out, and I was so excited when I first got them because they are extremely creamy. They feel so good when they're going on your lips. They almost feel like a lip balm that's tinted. They feel so amazing. But once I put them on my lips, then I had a couple of like dry areas, and it just seemed to cling to all of those. And it's one of those formulas that sits right on top of your lips and kind of like moves around a lot throughout the day. So it didn't really seem to like sink in. And on top of that, even though it felt really creamy at the start, after I was wearing it for a little while, it actually started to make my lips feel drier, which was very weird and something I wasn't expecting, but I really just didn't enjoy these all that much. I think maybe in the spring when my lips aren't as dry, I'll revisit these and see if maybe I like them a little bit more. And then at number 2, we have the CoverGirl Exhibitionist lip glosses. So I got a couple of shades of these. This one had a really beautiful amount of pigment. The other one that I got was basically just clear with glitter, even though in the tube it looked like it was pink. So I feel like these can vary based on the type of formula. This one doesn't have any shimmer or glitter in it at all, and I liked this one a lot better. It's more of a cream formula, but as a gloss, I mean, it was nice. There's nothing, I don't think, super special about it or unique about it. It's a really nice creamy lip gloss. And also, again, CoverGirl is cruelty-free now, so it's something that you don't always find in drugstore brands like L'Oreal and Maybelline. So I think that's an awesome reason if you're looking for a really nice lip gloss to purchase these. And it just felt so comfortable and hydrating on my lips all day. So I really did enjoy this one a lot. And this one is in the shade Cheeky, which is a really beautiful pinky mauve shade. I love this color, and the fragrance is really good on these too. It smells like a cupcake. It smells really, really good. So definitely love those. And then my number one pick, I am so surprised by, it's the Physicians Formula Rosé Kiss All Day Lip Crayons. So similar to the Maybelline ones that came out over the summer, these are so creamy. They feel amazing when you put them on your lips, but they actually have more of like a satin to matte finish. I normally hate matte lipsticks, so I was so shocked that I actually liked these, but they just stay creamy on your lips. Even though the finish is matte and they don't have a glossiness or a shine to them, they don't feel like a matte lipstick. They don't feel drying, and unlike the Maybelline ones, these don't wear away unevenly or patchy or anything. I'm actually wearing the shade First Kiss today, which is a beautiful pinky nude. It's kind of like a Your Lips But Better sort of a color. And what I like most about these is that they actually kind of stain your lips a little, so they're really long lasting. Even when you can't really feel them on your lips anymore, there's a little bit of color that's still there. So I think that might be what differentiates these from the Maybelline ones, because I felt like those kind of just sat on top of your lips and wore away really easily, whereas these, even if the top layer wears away, you're still left with a little bit of color underneath, which minimizes that patchiness. All right, so let's move on to eyeshadow palettes. I feel like this video is so super long. I feel like I've been talking forever, so I'm going to try to cut this as short as I possibly can. Number 5 is the Physicians Formula Rosé All Play eyeshadow palette. Now, I did talk about this one in a video already, and it's basically a dupe for the Huda Beauty New Nudes, and I just felt like, you know, I mentioned in that video, there are so many great dupes for that one, like from Alter Ego. I just felt like this one didn't live up to the formula of the other ones that I've tried. It's just like kind of patchy, powdery, tons of fallout. I found that to be the case with most of Physicians Formula's eyeshadow palettes, at least the butter ones. I'm just not really a fan, although I do really like the quads. I think those are actually pretty good, but that one was definitely not my favorite. Coming in at number 4, we have these new Milani Gilded palettes. They sent me all 6 of them. This is the Gilded Nude, which I just love the color story in it, but unfortunately this is just not my favorite formula from Milani. All of these Gilded palettes have the same new formula, and I really wish that they would go back to the one that they used with the little mini Everyday Eyes palettes, or the ones like Soft and Sultry and Pure Passion and Bold Obsessions. Those were amazing. They were so fantastic, and everybody raved about them, so I have no idea what made them go and change the formula when everyone loved those palettes so much. But these are just, they're very hit and miss. I feel like a lot of the matte shades blend away on your eyes. They don't stick or have staying power. And then some of the shimmers are beautiful. Some of them are really rich and creamy, while other ones, like this blue one right here, are just more like patchy and flaky and harder to work with and create tons of fallout. So I'm just not a fan of these palettes, sadly. I wish I was, because the color stories in them are beautiful, but I just hope, and I've seen so many other YouTubers saying this exact same thing, I just hope Milani decides to go back to their older formula, because I really, really think it was so much better. And then coming in at number 3, we have these Little Elf mini bite-sized palettes. I hate that these are at number 3 again, because the top 3 were so hard. I like them all very much. The formula of these I think is fantastic. They're $3, so they're a steal. I would say my one complaint about them, which is why they're not in the number 1 spot, is that you're limited in the amount of looks you can do with one palette. A lot of them have maybe like one matte shade and the rest are shimmer, and sometimes the matte isn't always the right transition color for you. Maybe it's too dark, maybe it's too light, it's more like a highlight color. I want to say there's only like 1 or 2 of them. I'm trying to look at which one it is. There's like 1 or 2 of them that I feel like I can make it work using the whole palette. I think it's this one right here, which is Truffles. This one has like a lighter brown matte transition shade. It also has a darker brown for my outer corner, and then it has 1 shimmer shade for the lid. But most of these have multiple shimmer shades. For example, this one right here, this one's called Cream and Sugar. It's a beautiful neutral palette, but you have these 2 shimmers in the middle, then you have a super light color here, and then a really dark one here. So you don't have like that matte transition that's kind of somewhere in the middle. So with these, I've found myself having to dip into another one to maybe get the color that I need. So I feel like they're not an all-in-one kind of a thing. I feel like you have to buy multiples of them to get the variety that you need, or you could always dip into another palette too, but I generally, as a rule, just don't like to do that very much. So that's what knocked these down to number 3, but otherwise, I think the formula is great. I love them. I love how cute and small they are. Next up at number 2, we have the Maybelline Nudes of New York palette. This one surprised the heck out of me. I have never liked a Maybelline palette this much. I just felt like they did such a fantastic job with the formula. The color story looks very much like Soft Glam to me, so I feel like this is a pretty close dupe for that palette. And I thought the matte shades felt really soft and velvety. They blended beautifully on my eyes. I did have a couple issues with patchiness in some of the darker colors, but I feel like that's a pretty common thing with eyeshadows, especially darker ones. But the lighter mattes blended really easily, and also the shimmer shades I felt like were really creamy and buttery and very pigmented. So this one impressed me so much. And then in my number 1 spot are these 2 palettes from Colourpop. Yes, I have 2 palettes in the number 1 spot, but I kind of feel like these are a package deal since they came out together. I bought them together, and I can't choose between them because they're both gorgeous. So first we have Nude Mood, and this one is just an everyday neutral palette. It's so easy to wear. It doesn't lean particularly warm or cool. I feel like, again, it's just very neutral overall, and it doesn't have any pressed glitters in it, which is a good thing. It does have a Super Shock up here, so does the other one, and it has more mattes than shimmers, which is also something that I usually look for in palettes because I usually use a lot of mattes on my eye and then I just pop one shimmer on my lids. So you have a lighter one here, and then you have a mid-tone, and then you have a deeper shimmer. So it kind of just has a little bit of everything. It's a really beautiful neutral palette. And then Blush Crush is actually the one that I'm wearing on my eyes today. It is so beautiful. I don't normally go for pink eyeshadows, but these are more like those dusty pinks versus the brighter ones. So it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous color story. And again, you have a Super Shock here. You have no pressed glitters. And I think that the color story of this one is very unique. In one of my Sunday hauls, when I got these originally, I compared them to some of my other Colourpop palettes. And I did find some that looked similar to Nude Mood, but I really couldn't find anything that had colors like this. So these 2, I've just been using these constantly. I think they're just, again, so easy to wear. I know I'm more of a neutral eyeshadow person, so if you're not, you're probably not gonna really care about these, but if you love neutrals, I think these are just gorgeous, and the formula is so good. Alright guys, so that's everything I have. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Also, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. What of the new drugstore products have you been loving lately? I always love hearing your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button right here in the corner of your screen, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye guys.